Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Madison and Mountain View on a cold morning here in New York. So today we're going to talk about the topic of startups partnering with other startups. Kind of recent in the news over the last few days, there have been a couple interesting partnerships that we've heard about. So Snapchat doing a partnership with Square, specifically Square Cash, to get in the mobile peer-to-peer payments game. And then Uber announcing, or Spotify rather, announcing a partnership with Uber to start getting involved in beyond in-car integrations and start to kind of get into this urban listener demographic who isn't using a car but still can be listening to Spotify in different locations. So it got me kind of thinking, as we think about brands partnering with startups, there's a lot of value that can become from startups partnering with other startups and adding incremental value to consumers. So I don't know, Joe, did you hear about any of these partnerships? Any thoughts about Uber and Spotify or the peer-to-peer mobile payments?
I heard about them through you, Lauren. Newsbreaker that you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my two thoughts. I mean, one is startups will partner and collaborate with other startups if brands take too long to figure things out. So it's kind of like this idea of, like and like, right? It's a community of entrepreneurs looking for ways to create that 1 + 1 = 3 approach. And to to a hammer, everything's a nail. So if I am and if we are the company that looks to connect startups and brands, but particularly to offer brands an opportunity, because if we take a step back, the whole idea is brands are not going to remain relevant or be resonant or evolve if they continue to using that old Einstein definition, right, and doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, which is talk at or communicate at the problem or try and advertise their way out of a problem. And let's say the problem is again being close and connected to a changing dynamic consumer and a changing dynamic landscape. So with that set up, our point of view is brands can actually benefit more in a way, or as much as startups. Let's just say as much. So it's a win-win. And if brands take too long to figure out how to enhance or integrate their offers, Zipcar acquired Avis. I mean, Avis and Zipcar acquired Avis. That's funny. It probably would happen one day. Avis acquired Zipcar for $500 million. If brands don't figure out these ways to collaborate, whether that's a pilot program or all the way through to investment or acquisition, startups will just do it without them.
Yeah.
So that's the one point. I'll let you react to the other one. The other one is, of course, it's a win-win situation with Uber and Spotify, because Uber is helping grow Spotify's base, Spotify's helping grow Uber's base. To the degree, this is a classic partnership, which, by the way, has nothing to do with startups. It has to do with, quite frankly, the NFL partnering with another brand, saying, guess what? We've got, I mean, think about Bruno Mars appearing at the halftime of the Super Bowl. The whole idea is if there are two unduplicated audiences, how can these, if one can allow the other to grow their base, then that is an absolute win-win situation as opposed to duplication.
Yeah, and I think to your point about, if brands don't do it in time, startups, well, Spotify's not kind of ignoring the brand side. The day after they announced the Uber partnership, they announced BMW partnership, which is their third car integration. So they've already integrated into, I think, Ford and Volvo. But what was interesting is one of the representatives from Spotify had said, that's not enough for us as millennials, and we've talked about this recently, as millennials are less and less investing in owning cars and getting involved in ride sharing. That's just an entirely new market that they need to be a part of. I think something also that's interesting is we always say brands can learn from startups in that they focus on the consumer. And so they have this hyper focus on the consumer experience, and brands need to pay attention to that. In this case, I was hearing some criticism for the Uber Spotify deal because the drivers don't necessarily benefit from this. One, from just having to listen to riders' music, but also from a ratings perspective. Not all of the Uber cars at the beginning are going to be music enabled through Spotify, and the Uber driver ratings are really tough. So if you get below a 4, you're out. So I don't know. Is there ever a line startups are focusing too
So what
much?
is the implication that people might say, why is there no Spotify in my car, and give the? Well, I mean, I think they'll build and anticipate that. But also, if you think, first of all I can think about is, will Taylor Swift be available in the Spotify car? That's the most.
She will not. She will not.
Well, then to me, it's just a little bit of.
What are you going to listen to?
I was thinking about it actually, and this might just be a little. This might be just a little typical kind of bit of publicity mongering, because the reality is, when I ride a car these days, do I honestly care what music is available or not available, or the need to be a part of? I mean, people pretty much got their own mobile phone, and they got their own music, and they got their own podcasts.
That's because you're not 20.
What?
That's because you are not 20. I think it is actually.
What? I'm not. Where is my birth certificate?
I think it's a millennial thing. I think they want to be able to turn on their content. I mean, we worked with startups like the Show Dog, who does amazing things with being able to fling content that you've got on YouTube. I'm in a hotel. I don't want to watch what's on that hotel screen. I want to be able to watch the content that's on my phone on that hotel screen, or in the back of a cab. I'm sure in the next 10 years you'll be able to sling an episode of Walking Dead in the cab screen on the way to the airport. So I do think it is a bit of a digital native thing that they expect to be able to plug into their content, and music is just the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah, and thinking about the experience of how people listen to music in the city. I mean, I am a Spotify premium user. That's what I listen to walking down the street. So as I hail an Uber, instead of keeping my headphones in, I just switch exactly what I'm listening to and continue listening to it. So I think that's the vision that they had for this.
Well, and I'm not 20 either.
Well, now that I'm being ganged up on based on the fact I'm old, no, I'm not saying it's not relevant, but I'm saying, like, when you actually unpack it a little bit and you think about the fact, and you just dissect and you say, okay, even amongst millennial consumers, what percentage of them that are using Uber, the shared economy, not driving, agreed, right? Don't have Spotify, so there is clearly an opportunity for them to. So that's segment one. Let's just dissect, right? That's segment one. Segment two becomes, for those that do have Spotify, what really is the benefit to be able to now plug into the sound system of that Uber car? And let's assume there is some benefit when you actually think about it practically now. Irritating the driver. And being able to blast this, it does add. What I'm saying is the more you think about it, the more of, not gimmick it. I'm not trying to kind of diminish it. Because today what we're discussing is the power of two well-known startups, or two startups that have some cachet or some kind of equity, partnering up to create. I mean, it's what we call, when we evaluate startups, we call it experience. We say it's important that the brand and the startup coming together would create an equal or greater customer benefit and customer experience. Otherwise, what's the point? Mm-hmm. If the brand working with a startup actually detracts from that customer experience, which is, guess what? It was much better before you came along, and try to make it better, in fact made it worse, well, then there's no benefit as well. So Spotify, this is not this is not kind of pushing down Spotify as well, but I'm thinking, like, at the end of the day, this has as many kind of question marks and TBDs, and yeah, I don't know, maybe, I guess, a little bit of a gimmick in a sense, but I think, Gina, your point about being able to go to a hotel and plug your own, content into the television is huge. Same concept. In fact, I think I just saw Southwest now, you can now stream live TV to tablets and your actual iPhones. So basically what they've done now is they've taken the concept of the screen now being your screen. So like, does it matter whether it's on the seat backs or in fact on your own iPad, so that you can kind of have that and cradle that intimacy. It's all part of a much broader trend, which is my content, my way, the way I like it, not the way you determine I should consume it.
You know what could be cool? I think Uber should let the Uber drivers create their own playlist, so that they don't. If an Uber driver just really hates smooth jazz, there's no smooth jazz on the playlist. Or maybe it's you don't
millennials
want.
are just listening to smooth.
You never know
every day.
if normcore can come back, then smooth jazz can come back. But it could be interesting to also give the drivers and Uber personalities.
Yeah.
So what if Uber had their own holiday Uber playlist, or this driver's holiday Uber playlist?
Well, listen. The only key implication here is Uber's going to need 2 ratings now, where you rate the driver and then you rate the driver's playlist. But let's also just make sure that in the last 4 or 5 minutes that we discuss the other one, which is Snapchat and Square. I mean, that's kind of interesting. That certainly threatens Venmo and the likes of the Venmos of the world, But it's also kind of like, is this going to be the way that parents are giving pocket money to their kids, or is it just a way of like kids being able to say, hey, listen, I want to buy that, that little bit of, girls going shopping and being able to pitch in or kind of top one up when they don't have enough money to buy, makeup or something.
Yeah.
Thinking of my daughter here.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's a really interesting one, because there isn't yet a clear winner in the peer-to-peer mobile payment space. And for Snapchat, and actually for Square, tapping into Snapchat that has tens of millions of users already and doesn't need to get the actual download and work on kind of download acquisition, it's huge for them. And to be honest, I hadn't even really thought about Square's peer-to-peer, Square Cash, which I didn't even know about it before this. So this is just launching it into the ring in a big way.
So let me ask you guys a question, which is two questions. We'll do a little bit of Chris Brown, not the other Chris Brown, Chris Brown. We'll put you all on the spot. So Square and Snapchat, Uber and Spotify, who wins more in the partnership? And then the second question is, who loses outside of this partnership? So Square and Snapchat came together. Great. Who loses now because they're not part of this partnership, or which brands lose in the process? So let's start off with Square and Snapchat. Who's the bigger winner here?
Square. I don't know, only because I'm worried about security. I think with Apple Pay's release and what they've done to transform security in the...
No, we're running out of time. Just who?
I say Square loses for security reasons.
Square loses? No. Which one benefits more from the partnership? In other words, which one actually, like, which one was the weaker of the two come into the partnership? So who actually gets the bigger boost?
If you'd asked me, a year ago, I would have said that Snapchat benefits massively, but Square is not done well over the last year.
Yeah, I think we agree. Square benefits more. Square is kind of like in danger of becoming kind of like redundant. What about Spotify and Uber?
That's a hard one. I think Spotify, because they have a quest to be everywhere. They want to be on demand everywhere. And Uber's kind of become the definition of on-demand, in my opinion. So you see a lot of startups going in and partnering with Uber to do whatever they do on demand. And so Uber's already kind of got a leg up there, partnering with a ton of different startups. I think this is new for Spotify.
Yeah, I agree. It's purely sort of, just additive to what Uber's already doing. Like, Uber has their business model. Like, they're still going to be driving people around, and this is just... fluff. I mean, it's niceties.
Exactly, which is, for example, if you took Square out the picture, then Snapchat continues and exists, and life is great. So how about this one? We'll start with you, Gina. Who loses from the Square partnership? Who loses from the Spotify partnership? Like big brands.
I mean, car companies in a way from Uber and Spotify, because it makes
iTunes,
ride sharing more appealing, you could argue.
So Apple maybe loses, and then certainly, I mean, the credit card companies just,
Yeah.
I mean, by the way, I mean, I think credit cards are losing with respect to Uber because you just Uber something now. They're all cashless cashless, cardless transactions. That's the kind of crazy thing here, right? Like if you're Visa or MasterCard, like, you're just becoming redundant in a sense when this stuff can plug right into, into whether it's a check or a bank account or PayPal or some kind of some tip jar or dip jar, or it's crazy. So big brands take note.
Last question before we sign off for you, Joe. If you could see any two startups partner, what would they be?
Like any two startups on the planet?
On the planet, or in outer space.
I mean, it would have to be Clash of Clans and and American Airlines. I have no idea how.
All right. We'll leave it with that.
I want to buy gems with American Airlines Maya. That would make me very happy. That would make me the team clan leader.
It would. All right. Well, have a good day, everyone, and it was good chatting.